We're almost to the end of the road. There's only 2 more shows left. Semifinal number 2 and a grand final, and the American Song Contest is in the books. Will it be the last American Song Contest? I'm starting to think it very well might be, at least for a while. I don't know if this project got quite the ratings it needed to. Currently sitting at about 1.5 million viewers on average on Monday nights. It's not great numbers, but maybe it's enough to give it one more go in the fall and try one more season. That's what I could see them possibly doing. But it would certainly need a lot of work and some different promotion techniques. Anyway, let's jump into what happened in semifinal number 1 and look forward to semifinal number 2. So before the show, we got some news through a couple of the acts about a rule change. How in the semifinals, one act would go through on the juries, and the other 4, rather than being a 50-50 split of jury and televote, would be full televote. So getting second in the jury essentially is meaningless now. Getting 11th in the jury is meaningless. It's either you're first or you're nothing, and you need the televote to get you the rest of the way. So this, of course, changes all my predictions from the previous video, and I'll be going through new ones again for both semis and what I think is going to happen. The show did open with the 3 qualifiers who will be in semifinal number 2 from the final heat, and that was American Samoa, North Carolina, and California. So I got 2 out of the 3 right there, ending 8 and 15 on the heats. It's above 50%. We'll take it. I was a little bit surprised that California was actually announced as the 3rd qualifier. They were second in the juries, which means their televote had to have been 5th, 6th, or even worse than that to go through as the final act. So I really fear for their chances. I do not see California going to the final if they weren't able to lock up a 2 or 3 position, getting the second jury vote out of that heat number 5. North Carolina was the second one announced and was 3rd in the jury. So I think it had a pretty decent result as well, probably 4th or 5th in the televote. And then, of course, American Samoa was announced 2nd. So I think Tanel had a really strong televote showing. I think she's kind of an underdog or a dark horse to make the final out of the second semifinal. I don't think a lot of people would anticipate her going all the way to the final, but I think she's going to after that kind of result. That's pretty impressive. I know I had Idaho as one of my other qualifiers. I'd love to see those final results and just see how it did. This, of course, means that I'm going to play down classic rock a little bit more. So I'm guessing Chloe Fredericks from Semi 2 likely doesn't make it all the way to the final. But again, we'll have to see. I think that semi is a little bit more open. So on the day, we did see numerous staging updates to many of the acts. All of the acts did perform live except for Colorado, which was a pre-recorded performance. That may have had something to do with it being last in the juries. It was also the closest to the same performance as it was in the first semi. It doesn't feel like in the first heat. It doesn't feel like there were a lot of changes made to his performance. So I'm wondering if that played a factor as well. Washington has proved once again they are the act to beat. I think they are the absolute front runners. I think Alan Stone has a very, very high chance of winning this whole thing. I saw mixed opinions on the staging change. Some people didn't like the blue-red shift. I think with a song called A Little Bit of Both, I think it works much better than the kind of full-on red that he had and warm colors that he had from the heat. His voice is stellar. There was no denying that he was going to win the jury vote, and you heard it here first. He's going to win the jury vote in the final. So it all comes down to his televote. I think if he gets top 3 in the televote, this contest is over and he's going to win it. I think Alexa is really the only other one who can threaten him, and I'll get to her next. So Alexa, I was not a believer. In the first heat, she used primarily playback. It was very difficult to hear if she was singing at all. She elevated her staging, literally, being suspended in midair, and sang a good 70, 80, maybe 85% of that song using very, very sparing moments of the backing track. It was mostly her voice, and she sounded great. She is an absolute performer, dancer. She can do everything. She has shown us now that she can do everything, and she can sing on top of it while doing everything. I'm on board, Alexa. I'm here. if you win the whole thing, you deserve it. You absolutely deserve it. And the two glow up acts for me are Rhode Island and Alabama. I think they really stepped up. Rhode Island went from a blue, moody with the harsh shadows and the hat in the heat to a much more just raw him, warm lights, casual clothing, just him on stage with this really personal song. And it captivated me. I gotta say, I had him dead and buried last week. If you watched my last week's video, I thought he had no chance of qualifying. And this was just a complete 180. And I'm like, okay, hold on. I may have overlooked this. That was very, very powerful. And he might make it through. I think if it were the 50-50 split still with the juries and the televote, I would put him through right now. I would say he's guaranteed going through in that fourth position. No doubt. But now that it's 100% televote, I'm a little bit worried for him. And then on the same time, Alabama, amazing performance in Heat 3, took it up another level. Beautiful outfits, the camera work, the angles were great. They sounded amazing both times. Let's be real, they have great voices. But another thing that was kind of overlooked is the mixing of the show was better, and that was really highlighted on their song a little bit. You heard more of the percussion. So if you go back and watch Heat 3 and then you watch the semifinal performance, in the second verse, you hear a little bit more of that percussion kind of popping through underneath their vocals, and it just changed the atmosphere completely. The fire at the end, I didn't love that part. I don't know. I felt like I'd just go with lights. I don't know if we needed fire there, but that would be the only thing that I was like not super impressed with. Everything else was amazing. And also Nico sometimes watches the channel. So if you're watching, you're amazing. And I hope you go through. Revising my semifinal 1 predictions. Oklahoma is through. Colorado is through, no doubt. Those two are going through as the top 2 televotes. And then it gets hard. I'm going to say Alabama is through. I'm going to say Wyoming and Naboo-Goofin is through. I think those are the 4 that will get through. I think the losers here of this rule change are Ada Leanne and, well, Jordan Smith, Ada Leanne, and Houston, of course, the 3 jury winners. I can see at most one of them going through. If I'm wrong about any of the others, no more than one. I think their strong jury votes are now just void and null, right? They're worth nothing. And that's a real shame that's how it's going to play out. Again, all I can figure, look, producers opened the show. I love Naboo-Goofin to death. They opened the show talking about Naboo-Goofin. They changed the rule that would benefit Naboo-Goofin. They want that in the final. It's not a fair rule change, but, that's how it is. So we'll see how the results pan out. Maybe I'm wrong, but I really feel like those are the 4 that I'm very confident have a good chance of all going through. Now, as far as semifinal number 2, I'm actually going to move my chair this time so I can, hold on, let me just adjust some things here so that I can actually put the graphic without having some weird overlays like I did last time. There we go. Perfect. So semifinal number 2. First of all, my man Grant Kanoki benefited from this semifinal. I think if you swap him and Mari from semifinal 1, I don't know if he gets enough votes based on how he did in heat number 1. Now, of course, we haven't seen his revised performance. I'm sure he's going to have a little bit more for us this time around. But being in semi 2, I think he's going through with the televote. I think Stella Cole is going through with the televote. I think Tanel, American Samoa, is going through with the televote. And then the final one is kind of a toss-up. It's really tough. I think it's going to be Michael Bolton, though. I think he's just got such the fan base that will put him through to the next round. This, and then you've only got one jury winner from the first 5 heats, and that's Tyler Braden. If the juries vote like they did in semifinal number 1, they're going to put him at number 1. The only other 2 that could surpass him based on their previous performances would be Broderick Jones, Kansas, and California, Sweet Taboo. And both of them, Broderick and Sweet Taboo, did worse than their jury performance with the televote. So between those three acts, whoever doesn't win the jury vote is in danger of not going through, like serious danger. So I think it's between Broderick or Tyler that gets the jury nod. It'll be one of those two acts. I'm expecting it to be Tyler. I hope it's Broderick. I like his song a little bit better. I think it's a cooler performance. He's another one like Alexa. I would like him to sing a little bit more this time. He really relied on the backing track. I want to hear him sing. I want to hear his performance with it. Make me a believer again, because I still love that track. I think it's awesome. And some of the acts that I think are probably done with, I don't think Loco's going to get through. I don't know if North Carolina is going to get through. And I think if like I said, I don't think California is going to win the jury vote. And if it doesn't, I think Sweet Taboo is going home too, unfortunately. So the reason I'm giving you these semi predictions now for semi 2 is because I have a feeling on Monday, Kelly Clarkson is going to make some announcement about how she's going to reveal the semi 2 qualifiers on her show on like Wednesday or something like that. So I won't have time to record another video before she does that. So that's kind of why I'm just giving them to you now. I have a feeling that's what she's going to do. They obviously can't reveal them the next week, because that's our final. And then we get Eurovision. Yay. I will try to have a semi 1 and semi 2 predictions for Eurovision very soon as well. I'm going to try and do that this weekend. We'll see. Anyway, that's it. And then there's one other thing that'll happen. In the grand final, they're going to add an 11th spot, and they're just going to put Brooke Alex there because it's the best song of the competition. I'm never going to stop streaming that Brooke Alex. I'm not sorry.